Yes, this is Ripon. Between 5 and 6, you'll be listening to me and no one else. But the question is, what are you going to be listening to, apart from listening to me? So let me reassure you, today we have a number of things. We have, yes, your regular tips of the week that you listen often to make sure you go and implement it on your in your home, in your communities, and in your workplace if need be. Because the purpose, as you know, is all about saving money. Yep. So yeah, you've got it. Here we start. But the question is, when it comes to tips of the week, before I reveal it to you, what I want to know is, what do you genuinely think? Of course, when it comes to weddings. So yes, today's tips of the week that I'm going to be giving you is on how to save money on tips. But before I give you the secrets, let's see what you think on that subject.
When they're having a wedding, will be whether the food will be what the guests will enjoy, whether the weather will hold up, whether all the guests will turn up, and lastly probably whether they will be well in themselves to attend the wedding themselves.
But I've not been to many weddings, but if that was me preparing for a wedding, I think I'd be anxious, excited, thinking about the wedding list, thinking about expenditure, and thinking about whether it will go right, and thinking about the holiday destination after the wedding.
Looking to plan a wedding, number one is agreeing on what kind of wedding both people want. Whether it's going to be a church wedding, whether it's going to be a wedding at the mosque, whether it's going to be a wedding away, a location wedding, whether we're going to have one at home, whether it's going to involve going to the registrar and just having eats at the local pub, or whether you're going to pay for a full-on sit-down meal, which often costs anything between £40 and £70 per person, and then how many people would you like there? And also in terms of what people understand what a marriage involves. Yeah.
One, the layout. Two, the ideal place. And flowers, food.
When they're having a wedding.
There we are. We have heard what is involved in a wedding. But of course, to save for wedding, what is it that you need? So this is what you'll be getting from me, because as you know, it's all about you getting the best deal for wedding and everything else. So there we are. Yep, so there we go. I'll give you 7 tips, but although all the tips may not be important to you, but let's start with the first. First is for you to set a budget. Let's focus on the budget. Let's be honest. Our number one tip for saving is to set your budget from the beginning. Not just a rough figure, but actually taking the time to sit down together and evaluate what you can afford and confirming how much other members might be able to contribute. Once you've given yourself a concrete number, it will be much easier to stick to it. Even better is to then take that number and split it out according to each part of the wedding. So there we go. That's the tip. Number 1 is set a budget. The tip number 2, don't have your wedding on a Saturday. Now, while Saturdays have been a traditional day in UK to get married, but swapping it to other days, even on Friday if possible, is much cheaper. The day, the location is easily the biggest cost factor. A lot of couples have already clued into this, and 47% of weddings in 2017 happening on a day besides the traditional Saturday. Hence, because you save money. Yeah. So now, obviously, we've got your avoiding Saturday because it's the costly day. We have also got you to set a budget. The third one is consider a winter wedding. Yeah. Winter wedding doesn't have to mean a bleak one or a miserable one. It could even be a cozy and warm and rustic. And just think of the gorgeous long sleeve dresses that you can actually wear to cover yourself up to make sure you do look that amazing and you play the part for the wedding. Yeah, third one. Try, if you live in London, I know London is a great spot to think about when you think about wedding. But really, if you generally want to save money, you just have to go out. Go out far and wide, away from central London. Because, as you know, in London, it is very pricey, so try going in the country or seaside wedding, although you'll be getting a fantastic a scenery, but also it will be much cheaper for your wallet. Yeah, so yeah, not forget to do it outside, but of course, now let's move on to our fifth tip. Now that is have a wedding cake as a dessert. So, I mean, that's a good one actually. Take a course off the menu and let your guests indulge in a wedding cake for dessert or a wedding cheese if that is what you fancy. So instead of just having first, second, third course and dessert thrown in, make the cake as your dessert so you get to taste it and so do others, and in the process you get to save your money. So there we are. So you've got the tips for me for now. Is first, as you know, is about set a budget. Second one is to don't have your wedding on a Saturday. Third one is to consider wedding in winter rather than summer when it's all amazing, but at least you get to save money. And have your wedding outside of London because you'll be miserable once the wedding is over. You realize that you can't afford to carry on maintaining yourself and you'll be eating dry food. And of course, don't forget, make your cake into as a dessert. But finally, of course, have a family member or friend bake the wedding cake. So if you have a friend, yes, we all do have a friend who loves baking cakes. These days, I've noticed that we have a BBC cake baker who won. She has managed to make baking cake like the thing to do. So if you know anyone who is great at baking, give him or her the responsibility to bake that cake for your wedding day. Yeah, so there we are. So we've now dealt with your tips of the week for your wedding. But of course, just to kind of give you a highlight of what else we'll be covering on radio and on YouTube as I speak. And if you want to share your thoughts on council tax, it's 0207 791 5170. You can tweet. You can also YouTube me, Ripon Money Matters. Your Money Matters with Ripon Ray on YouTube, and leave your messages, and I can no doubt tell listeners of your thoughts. So that's it for my contribution. But of course, in a sense of contribution on other things, we can talk about now important subject as council tax. So let's start with council tax. So yes, so council tax it is. So the question really is, what is council tax? Why do we pay council tax? And why do people get into arrears? And when you are finding difficulties, what options are there? And of course, what I do want to share with you is also experience from others who have been struggling to pay. I mean, let's be frank about it. It's not always hunky-dory. It's not always, you think, oh yeah, everything's going smoothly. Sometimes things do happen where you are not in control. Look, let's be frank, I've been there myself. So hence I'm on radio and on YouTube talking about things because I do want you to get the best offer and best deal. So there we are. Let's start with council tax. So council tax. Why do we pay council tax and why councils are desperate to get the money from you? So there we are. The purpose of recovering council tax, it's simple really. Council tax is being recovered by local councils to provide majority of residents services in the borough. So it could be, let's say, for example, to collect your bins. It could be to provide services like social care. As you know, if someone's old and frail and living in care homes, someone has to pay for it. It's basically the council tax that pay for it. And I'm not sure if you have kind of made a mess in your flat or a room or a house, and things that you have leave out in the bin. Have you ever thought about where it goes and who collects it? I'm afraid it's your council. So obviously those things, among other things, need to be paid for. The question is, who pays it? It's basically council taxpayers. So yes, it is pretty much you, pretty much me, and pretty much everyone else who lives in a property and you're not getting full council tax reduction. Yes, just so you remember, I've used the word council tax reduction because there is no council tax benefit officially anyway, since, as far as I remember, since 2013, because that's when the central government has taken away council tax benefit, and then now local governments use council tax reduction to make sure you either pay or don't pay, but yet is boiled down to council tax reduction. I understand that 95%, yes, 95% of the boroughs in the country are now charging something, except for a few, such as Tower Hamlets Council and Camden Councils, and a few others maybe, but predominantly most councils are now charging council tax. But obviously, this is when you pay council tax, but the question is, when you don't pay, what does it actually happen? There we are. So clearly we know why we pay council tax, but obviously there is when you don't pay, the responsibility is then falls on the council to send things like a notice. Of course, you'll get a notice. Yes, one notice you'll be getting. You'll also then be getting another notice, a second reminder. So basically, first reminder for missing payments or late payment or paying less than the amount due. Second reminder you may be getting, and also you got the final reminder. So what happens after is that well, obviously councils are getting a bit fidgety. You know, they were like, why isn't the person paying the money? You know, how dare he or she? You know, doesn't the person know that the council needs to be benefit needs? Council tax needs to be paid for. Yes, paid for. Obviously, you have to pay. Otherwise, we'll send you the wild dog at you. And this is what council does. But instead of sending you the wild dog, what the council will do is send the case to the courts. Yes, in order for the council to properly recover their money, the council has to summon you to court, and no doubt summons mean basically council, yes, the council, yes, Hamlets Council or Camden Council or whichever council it is, has to take you to court and then obtain a liability order. It's basically council saying, look, don't you know, you have done something wrong and you have not been paying, so we have the right to make a declaration in court that you owe the money because you haven't paid up. So usually, in general, you will be liable to pay the money. It's like saying, oh yeah, the judge now declared that I owe money, so you are formally or officially now the debtor because you can afford to pay. So there will be costs, no doubt, for summons cost and a liability cost, and amount may vary depending on where you are, so you better check your letters and see what it says. So that's that in a sense. But of course, once you've got a summons in court, there's a hearing. You must always go to court and start talking about your issue, basically. And if you can't afford to pay, you could always say, look, I can pay within my means. But of course, or if you think the council must have made a mistake, this is your time to flag it up. This is your time to say it to the magistrate. Look, magistrate, nicely, obviously, politely, please don't be, aggressive like I am. Just say something like, look, I can't afford to pay because I can't afford to pay. So then you might have to fill in a means form. That means form will justify how much you pay. Of course, if you set up a repayment there and then, and obviously you stick by it, everything's fantastic. You'll be fantastically happy. Hopefully, the council will be fantastically happy, and yeah, so we're all happy. But of course, it doesn't always work out like the way we want to. So, of course, when it comes to it doesn't work out the way we want to, this is when I want to share you basically a story of a client of mine who I have advised actually, but she, well, she lives in, I'm afraid she lives in right now in Manchester, but she came on radio and we spoke about the whole thing. Let's see if I can actually bring her from online so you can actually listen to the conversation that I have had with her. Let's have a look.
Students, workers, first about somebody that you've just come possible, but it can be very difficult to get your money back again. Let's say I have now moved into a home, but I feel as though my money that I have passed to my landlord.
Christmas is only to be given a license. They must prove themselves that they are a worthy institution, organisation, competent, with all the skills required.
95% of councils in England would increase council tax charges.
That they're going to be proactive in.
Mark Francis, thank you very much.
Yeah, well, I've got sick and went into hospital, and then I run behind it.
And the 2%, and perhaps more importantly, they've established a proper.
Sorry about it, there's a technical problem, but we are sorting it out.
And they've promised that they're going to be proactive in reaching out to people that are not able to pay as well, so that the money actually reaches the hands of those that are really struggling.
Well, on that note, Mark Francis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So on the phone we have Joanna Robinson.
There we are.
Who lives in Manchester. Hello, Joanna.
Hello, sir.
I mean, Joanna, I understand that you have had a great deal of problems in relation to council tax. But before we get to that, tell me about your change of your financial situation before it got to the stage where you won't be able to pay council tax.
Yeah, well, I've got sick and went into hospital, and then I run behind on the council tax for about a couple of months. Then the bailiff they send the bailiff out, and when the bailiff comes, we had money to what I owed the council. So it cost me to owe like over £1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped to put me in debt more, and I fall behind with whatever debt I have got otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unbearable for me to take council tax sometimes, but when you phone up to speak to them, they don't understand. Like when I said, oh, I haven't got money to pay the council tax. They said, anyway, they already send the bailiff out, so they're not really doing much for you. And when you ring up anyway, say you don't on a mobile phone contract, you will be on the phone for like half an hour or more. So if you're paying a mobile phone bill, it's very hard to get through to the council. So that's even worse and help you to run behind. You can't really get anybody to speak to.
So,
And when you do get somebody to speak to them about it, nobody is really sympathize with you and really care about you not paying. Oh yes, if your council tax, then you should be paying it.
So at what point did you realize that you were struggling to pay your council tax?
When I come out of the hospital and you stop working all your normal money that you used to work, and you fall behind, and then your council tax starts stacking up, everything starts stacking up. So that's when the bailiffs start coming on, and you start having loads of problems. You start getting straight open the door. It's just come unbearable sometimes, man.
So what did the bailiff say to you?
One time the bailiff come in the house, and I said, you know what, because I'm just fed up then and decide, you know what, you can just take all the stuff like the TV, and because I did work and have nice things. So I said, take the TV, take the stuff. I don't really care. So he said, don't worry, I'm not going to just take the TV, I'm going to take your fridge, the washing machine and everything inside your house. And I'm going to go upstairs and take your wardrobe down. I was like, you can't take everything because you have to left some things in your house. And when I finish taking it, I am going to call the social service as well.
Mm.
But that time I didn't know much about bailiff because I never had this problem before. So then I was really worried because he said he was going to call social service.
Mm.
And I was like, God, he's going to call social service. I'll be worried about the kids now.
Mm.
What is he going to tell them? So when I go and see the citizen advisor, they said, no, he can't do such things. And tomorrow when he come back, I should open the door and stuff like that.
Mm.
But you have nobody to turn to when you're all council tax. You can't speak to anybody. There's nobody to speak to.
Mm. So how many years ago did you start having council tax problems?
About 4 years ago.
So do you think your problem started when your local authority started charging you council tax?
I used to pay the council tax, but when I have to pay the council tax now and pay my rent and pay other bills, it was really hard.
Mm. Okay, so when you went to CAB, what sort of advice did they give you then?
Really, we haven't got a proper CAB in Manchester, so you have to be over the phone.
Mm.
So you might phone up and you have to be on the phone as well to speak to them, to ask them questions, what they're going to do for you. And they will make you a telephone appointment. Because most of the government cut at the moment, we haven't got like proper citizen advice bureau anymore. You can phone up and get advice, and somebody will phone you and tell you what to do, but you can't really go in and see somebody about stuff like that.
In other words, access to advice is difficult for you anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's really difficult in Manchester.
So in terms of the way things are going now, then, do you think you will have problems paying your council tax from April 2018 as time goes on?
Yes, because it's going to go up because I'm in Band B at the moment. And the neighborhood that I live in, it's a council house as well, but it's a higher part of the neighborhood. But because most of the houses here are bought by private tenants, so it's more expensive than if I was living in a normal council estate. So I have to pay like what everybody else, in better income than me, has to pay, although I'm not working that amount of money that they are working. Because I'm in Band B.
So when you fell into arrears with council tax, did your council help you in any way whatsoever?
No, right now, 4 weeks ago I've got the bailiff out, but I didn't open the door.
Well, what can I say? I mean, your scenario is pretty much what we're hearing on a regular basis, Joanna. I mean, I'm a debt advisor. This is what I'm seeing. I'm regularly seeing individuals who are struggling to pay their rent and struggling to pay their council tax. So really, the question for you, Joanna, do you really think now current council tax scheme is now the new poll tax?
Yeah, it is.
So on that note, Joanna, I would like to thank you for taking part.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
This is probably the best time for us to take a break. If you want to take part, 0207 791 5170. Once we're back, we will be reading out your tweets, talking also about alternative lending, and of course, more about your views, because on Your Money Matters with me, your views matter more than just mine.
শান্তিপূর্ণ জীবনেও আইনি জটিলতা আসতেই পারে, তাই সঠিক পরামর্শ সঠিক সময় নির্বাচনী সমস্যার সবসময় রয়েছে আপনার পাশে।
একটি নাম হিলসাইড ট্রাভেলস। চায়না, আফ্রিকা, আমেরিকা কিংবা মিডল ইস্ট সহ বিশ্বের যে কোনো দেশের এয়ার টিকিটই এখানে সুলভ মূল্যে পাওয়া যায়। বাংলাদেশ বিমানের সর্বোচ্চ টিকিট বিক্রেতা পুরস্কার ছাড়াও অন্যান্য পুরস্কার প্রাপ্ত হিলসাইড ট্রাভেলস সর্বদা আপনাদের সেবায় নিয়োজিত। গ্রুপ বুকিং এর বিশেষ সুবিধা সহ 24 ঘন্টা সেবা পেতে লগ ইন করুন www.hillsidetravels.com অথবা যোগাযোগ করুন Hillside Travels, Unit 3, 388 Green Street, London E13 9AP. Phone 0208 55222033.
হুশিয়ারা ট্রাভেলস এন্ড ট্যুরস
সুলভ মূল্যে বিশ্বের যে কোনো দেশে আন্তর্জাতিক ও অভ্যন্তরীণ রুটের ফ্লাইটের টিকিট,
হজ ও হলিডে প্যাকেজ,
ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়াইড কার্গো সার্ভিস,
পাসপোর্ট ও নৌ ভিসা সার্ভিস সহযোগিতা,
বাংলাদেশের জমি ক্রয় বিক্রয় সহ
মানি ট্রান্সফার করে থাকি
4 hours টেলিফোন 0207 790 1234
অথবা 0207 702 7460
হুশিয়ারা ট্রাভেলস এন্ড ট্যুরস
313 to 319 Commercial Road, London E1 2BS.
JMG Cargo, the top demand sales agent and cargo specialist. We can collect your goods from anywhere in the UK within 24 hours and deliver to Bangladesh in 3 to 4 working days. So look no further for a better, highly secure and friendly cargo service. JMG Cargo. Call us on 020 7247 8878. Open 7 days a week. JMG Cargo. If you like our service, tell others. If not, tell us.
এরে কুঞ্জনি আমিও ফোনে হেঁটেছি কিন্তু সিটিটা এত খুঁজে পাইলাম না।
আরে পোস্টকোড E20LD মারো না এখানে, তোমার খুব সহজে তাড়াতাড়ি সিটিটা এত লইয়া যাইব।
ওয়াও, সিটি টায়ার্স এখন অত বড়।
গাড়ির এমওটি চার্জ সহ যাবতীয় সমস্যার সমাধান ও মেরামতের জন্য আজই যোগাযোগ করুন সিটি টায়ার্স 175 176 at Lake Street, London E20LD, বাইতুল আমান মসজিদের নতুন বিল্ডিং এর পেছনে। টেলিফোন 0207 7900 467.
Okay, off we go.
আপনার যদি গাড়ি অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট করিয়া থাকেন আমরা আপনার লাগি রিপ্লেসমেন্ট গাড়ি লইয়া আইব। আপনার অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট ক্লেম থেকে লইয়া রিকভারি আর রিপ্লেসমেন্ট সহ সব কিছু অতি যত্ন সহকারে আমরা করিয়া দিব। জেনারেল অটো সার্ভিসেস, টেলিফোন নাম্বার 02085551212।
At Hod Jones and Allen, we use the power of the law to help hundreds of people each year to stand up for their rights. We do things differently to help people fight injustice, and we win cases every day. We'll give you honest, clear, straightforward legal advice. We're upfront too about any costs dependent on your case. You may be eligible for a no-win, no-fee arrangement. Call 0207 874 8300 for free initial advice, or visit our website at www.hja.net. We'll help you and your family stay strong and fight for what's right.
ঘর ভাড়া নেওয়ার বা দেওয়ার কথা ভাবছেন? ভাড়াটিয়া নিয়ে চিন্তিত? ভাড়াটিয়ার ভাড়া নিয়ে সমস্যায় ভুগছেন?
KennyFloyd.com, offering landlords exciting deals such as rent guarantee, property management, in-house maintenance service, and commission-free with 12 years experience in the industry.
KennyFloyd.com দিচ্ছে ল্যান্ডলর্ডদের সকল প্রকারের নিশ্চয়তা। আজই যোগাযোগ করুন রূপন কামানি KennyFloyd.com, 91 Barlett Road, Milan E34JN, 0207 790 9379 অথবা লগ ইন করুন www.kennyfloyd.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Your Money Matters again with Ripon. Yes, 0207 791 5170. So yes, we've got a couple of tweets in terms of council tax. Obviously, we like to hear your rough views and tough views on council tax. And here we are. I have got a couple of tweets from Salim Hussain. I think this, by the way, this is not my views. These are his views. Salim, I think it is a disgrace that in modern times, richer people are getting richer and poorer are getting poorer. Councils charging the poor is making things very difficult for people like us. Oh God, that sounds a bit like the lady that I interviewed. Yes, I've got Nathan as well. Nathan saying, I cannot believe that councils can force you to get into debt these days by instructing bailiffs. These bailiffs are scavengers, according to Nathan. We've got Denise Webster. Yeah, she says, if you don't pay your council tax, you deserve to be imprisoned. How do you expect public service to be paid for these days? Very strong views indeed. So this is what it is in terms of your views when it comes to council tax. But of course, next topic it's going to be on alternative lending, and I want to first start with your views, public views on alternative lending.
Got a track record.
Go ahead.
Then obviously you had to go to lenders which are, yeah, brother, come in. If you want to come in and have a look, no problem. Yeah, no problem at all.
So what does old lending mean? Is it a good thing or bad thing?
Well, bad in this bad. If you come into bad, then you have to pay higher interest rates, and then you're not really protected in any way, and people might even threaten you to take their money back. Yeah, so that's the bad one. But good one is, if you can't lend from the mainstream lenders, you have a choice to lend from other people. So there is a good thing. Or crowdfunding. Yeah, brother. So crowdfunding is a very good way to raise money. But then again, you might lose your money if you lend it to them. You might lose without protection.
Thank you very much.
As far as I understand, it's to do with credit unions, for example. I mean, I think they're a really good idea because I think, as far as I understand it, they're supposed to be non-profit making. So, hopefully won't have as high interest rates as, these private lending companies. So I think it's probably a lot better and a lot fairer and probably more, basically hopefully helps a more equal and just society. Thing is lending, is it? I mean, I suppose it's a way of raising money, but that's probably particularly. Thing is lending, is it? I mean, I suppose it's a way of raising money, but that's probably particularly.
That would be it really. Apart from the banks are proper lending. Banks, business society are proper lending, but alternative lending to me would be like companies that come and knock on your door and ask you, do you want to borrow money, or the pawn shops, or the loan sharks. Basically, I can't think of any other alternatives to lending than that. And then the ones that charge like 250%.
Got a track record.
There we are. We have heard your views, members of the public, and your views are as important as mine. But of course, we are covering alternative lending. So the question really is, as I put to others, whether alternative lending, what is it? And then the question is it good or bad? So we have had various different opinions, but for the purpose of listeners such as yourself, it is the topics that I'm going to be covering. It's going to be credit unions, so you get familiar with credit unions, peer-to-peer lending, and that's a recent one that has come into fruition. And of course, the most scariest one, which will no doubt put shiver in everyone's veins, is payday loans. So really the question is, what is credit unions? What is a peer-to-peer lending? And what is payday loan? And then of course you can decide for yourself what you think is best for you based on your knowledge. Yeah, so credit unions. What is credit unions? So yeah, credit unions in UK really started to kind of come into fruition from 1960s. They've been around for 50 years now, and there are, I suspect, over 270 million people using credit unions. In order for you to be to use their service, you have, in general, you have to be a member, and each member has one vote, and volunteer directors are elected from the membership by the member. Credit unions are owned by people who use their services. So let's say once you've opened up an account, you also own it, as not as more like a shareholder, I suppose, rather than having profits. But any profits made will go straight to members such as yourself. And a membership of a credit union is based on a common bond. It may be based on individuals working for a specific employer or in a particular industry, or you living or working in a specified area, which enables you to open up a bank account or credit union bank account with a specific. So for example, if you live in London, there's London Community Credit Union. If you live in South London, there's another one. So it really just depends upon where you are, and of course what in terms of services it offers. Yep, these services obviously is quite different to mainstream lending because it just is. So the services that is designed with credit unions are primarily focusing on savings. Credit unions encourage members to save as well as a basic saving account. Many can offer a range of options, including Christmas savings account. You can have junior savers account, even ISA. So you do have to look around really. But of course, once you've saved, you can also get a loan. Now, with credit unions, current legislation in UK prevents credit unions charging interest prevents credit unions charging interest more than 3% per month. So that's about something like 42% per year when it comes to interest. So obviously that's what they can do, and usually they lend not significant amount but smaller amount, i.e. if you want to do your room, flat, whatever it may be, to clean things up, or you open up a small business, your credit unions, local credit unions, may be able to help, especially if you are looking for shorter period, amount of interest you pay is low, and of course, and its purpose is really to help you save regularly and of course borrow responsibly and keep on top your finances. So their priority is to really kind of make sure there are any losses face, the losses will be recoverable under financial services compensation scheme, and if you lose up to 85,000 value per person, you can claim that, and the money is protected. So that really is in terms of credit union. But of course, let's now also look at I suppose peer-to-peer lending. I'm not sure if anyone has heard of peer-to-peer lending. Yes, this may be like a daunting one, but of course, when it comes to individuals lending to other individuals, that is well known. You may have borrowed money from your friend. You may have borrowed money from your cousins. You may have borrowed money from your neighbor. That is fine, but that action isn't really controlled or regulated or supervised by any regulator. We have all done it. We are going to do it, and it has been around for so many years. But when it comes to peer-to-peer lending, what is it? And that's what I want to focus briefly. It's basically peer-to-peer lending. It brings lender and borrower together online. So it's a way for you to kind of have a platform where you make a pitch. You make a pitch, and then if individuals like your pitch and your product or whatever it may be, then the individuals may lend you money. And of course, that's been happening for some time. If you kind of Google peer-to-peer lending, you can actually find so many individuals out there willing to lend depending upon what you're providing. At some websites, any money you lend out is automatically divided between lots of borrowers, but others, you can choose who like to lend your money to. And to be honest, generally speaking, the interest rates someone will pay are riskier than they're likely to pay. So you do have to read what it is that you are lending, because in the end, interest might be very high, but it's a new one, peer-to-peer. So how do you get started anyway? How do you start doing it? But of course, I'm not advising you to do it, but since you want to learn a bit more about it, it's an online peer-to-peer lending. You have to first open up a bank account with peer-to-peer lender and pay some money in by debit or debit card transfer. That's what you do, and send the interest rate you like to receive or agree, a rate that's on offer. So again, it is a standard contractual way of doing it, but there must be a term of acceptance. You can also lend an amount of money for a fixed period of time. Again, it's very much like mainstream lending, and of course, and you pay within a fixed period of time. So that's what you need to do, but of course, it's primarily a kind of a new thing has emerged online, peer-to-peer, person-to-person lending. And now there are problems. The problem is it is risky. It is risky, and you need to understand the risks. And of course, first risk is risk of default, i.e. risk of you not paying. A person or business you lend money to might not be able to pay it back. It's partly because you can afford to pay it back. So that is always a big one. I mean, we all have to think about it. Even if, for example, if I have to borrow money, even through the peer-to-peer lending scheme, the question is, will I be able to afford to pay it back? That's one risk. The other risk might be is you may risk of early or late repayment. So if you pay early, is there a penalty? So if you, for example, got into an agreement where you borrowed from, let's say, April, and you're meant to pay it in July, instead you pay it in, I don't know, May, is there a penalty? Will they charge you? So you need to find out. So yeah, and the other thing is, of course, risk of peer-to-peer site going bust. So in other words, the money that you are lending, that site that hosts the platform for peer-to-peer might go bust. So when that go bust, you might end up losing your money. And of course, another thing to think about is peer-to-peer lending and tax is really, and the interest that is earned as you borrowed is taxable, because it is in the end is capital that you're getting. So you need to bear that in mind. And if HMRC finds out you haven't paid up, they might contact you saying, where's the money? So do bear in mind. That's kind of that when it comes to, I suppose, peer-to-peer lending. Now let's move on to a bigger one, the most frightening one, and that is payday loans. And the question is, what is payday loans, and how you deal with payday loans, and why a lot of people are going for payday loans. So let's work on that. Yeah, payday loan. Payday loans are short-term loans. Yeah, short-term, pay and day. In other words, you borrow tomorrow and you pay it when you get your next paycheck from your salary. So that's pretty much what it is. So the short-term originally designed for people really for a very, very brief period of time. And it's usually paid directly into your bank account, and you pay in full with interest and charges at the end of the month. Yes, usually in this sense, payday loan means if you get paid on a monthly basis, you pay it when you get your next paycheck on a monthly basis. As simple as that. So yeah, increasingly though, you cannot borrow for longer periods, typically 3 months, and repay in installment. It's partly because the interest they usually charge so high that the purpose is designed for you, and it's called short term, and high interest because it's for a very short period of time. Otherwise, the regulator, Financial Conduct Authority, will definitely throw the rule book at the payday loan company. So how much cost? Now, clearly, with payday loan, there has been numerous problems and controversy. Over a year, for example, don't get over a year, over 12 months we're talking about. And normally, payday loan companies do not lend you money for over a year. They only lend you for a couple of months, payday loan. But of course, if you quantify it over a year, it ends up being 1,000% of interest. And that's the controversy that you're getting when it comes to payday loan. But over a year, which annual percentage rate is about £1,000, compared to, let's say, a credit union that I mentioned before, it's only 42% they charge and 3% they charge per month. So, but recently, as a result of the controversy in terms of how much a payday loan company charges, hence I mentioned over 1,500, central government and of course its regulator has put a cap to the charge. Now it cannot charge you more than double the amount you have borrowed. So let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, if you have borrowed £100 from a payday loan company, by the end of it, it cannot charge you ultimately, which includes interest, which includes charges, it cannot charge you finally more than £200. That's the recent campaign that had been organised by different political parties, as well as campaign group and advice centres that offer advice to individuals who are affected by debt. Is that from now on you are not going to pay more than 100% that you've actually borrowed from the money. But of course, that's been kind of established in law and by the Financial Conduct Authority's rule books. But of course, what are the challenges for you, the borrower? Before you agree to a loan, make sure your payday lenders ask you to set up a recurring payment. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. It's called Continuous Payment Authority, whereby they will automatically take money from you on a regular basis based on what they have agreed with you. So let's say, for example, you said, okay, look, from now on, I will pay per month, but every 24th of 24th day of the month, you can take money out of me based on that agreement, and they will take money on the 24th. That's what it's called, Continuous Payment Authority. You have given them the authority to continuously take money from your bank every month on that date. So that's pretty much how Continuous Payment Authority works. So they take money out of you directly. But of course, the main problem might be is that you can't afford to pay. You can't afford to pay. So the question is, what do you do when you can't afford to pay? Now, the rule is, when it comes to Continuous Payment Authority, in which the payday loan company takes the money, you have the right to say, don't take money from my bank account under Continuous Payment Authority. Because once you've notified them, if they then take money from you, you can actually then complain against them for taking money from you. So there we are. So you do have the right to cancel that payment. Continuous Payment Authority is called. Of course, let's be frank about it. You do fall into trap. That's inevitable. That's natural. But the question is, what can you do then? Of course, when you are struggling with money, no doubt there are ways you can resolve it. You do need to seek advice, and also when payday loan companies know that you are having financial problems, they ought to respond accordingly. Because payday loan companies, just like any other companies, have to act fairly. And if they don't act fairly, and if they haven't given you the support and advice you need, and also don't tell you that you need to take advice from organizations, you they are actually breaching Financial Conduct Authority's rule on being a decent lender. And that is essential that payday loan company, credit unions, as well as peer-to-peer is quite a different one, where you actually don't have the right to claim compensation up to £85,000 if you if you lose money. But with credit unions and payday loan, there you do have rights in terms of loss. Well, I mean, credit union is a bank, isn't it? So payday loan is just lends you money, so you have to return the money back. That's pretty much what you have to think about when it comes to payday loan. However, when you do borrow the money, when you sign the agreement with a payday loan, they ought to give you a 14-day cooling off period. So let's say, for example, you signed an agreement today, and instead of them saying, okay, you better pay up, or here's the money, they should say you are entitled by law to think about it for 14 days. You're allowed to change your mind within the 14 days before you start thinking of borrowing the money. All you need to pay is the charge interest on the credit you have used. Any additional charges must be refunded to you. So, but they ought to give you a cooling off period by law, in fact, and it's been implemented by EU legislation on this. So that's kind of about me talking about credit unions, peer-to-peer lending, and payday loan companies, our main enemy. But of course, we are coming to an end. There is a couple of tweets that I want to read out to you, and then we are pretty much coming to the end of today. Yeah, so obviously your views does matter. So in terms of alternative lending, so this is what you have to say on it. You have said, members of the public, here is one from Edward Said. He says to me, payday loan companies are parasites. They need to be, he said illuminated. I think he meant eliminated. Illuminated means, it shines. But obviously here you meant eliminated. Okay, it might be a typo, I suppose. Well, thank you for that. Thank you, Edward Said. Said says just that. Eliminated, not illuminated. Also, we have another tweet, actually, from Eleanor Murphy. Eleanor Murphy says the following. Every company's charge interest either if you are a credit union or a payday loan company. They are as bad as each other. Well, thank you for that, Eleanor. And of course, finally, we have, this person actually didn't leave his name behind. Okay, all right. Obviously, the person being secretive, but wants to share his opinion, is I don't think it's worth getting a payday loan. I have 4 payday loan companies. Oh, right, it doesn't make sense. I had 4 payday loan debts. Okay, fine, okay. Through debt advice, I was able to deal with my payday loan debts. Well, thank you for sending me this, Mr. Anonymous. But of course, other voice does also matter. And before I go, it will be helpful for you to listen to the other voices again from members of the public about your thoughts and views and your knowledge on this.
Got a track record.
Go ahead.
Then obviously you had to go to lenders which are, brother, come in. If you want to come in and have a look. No problem. Yeah. No problem at all.
So what does lending mean? Is it a good thing or bad?
Well, if you come into bad, then you have to pay higher interest rates, and then you are not really protected in any way, and people might even threaten you to take their money back. Yeah, so that's a bad one. But good one is, if you can't lend from the mainstream lenders, you have a choice to lend from other people. So there is a good thing. Or crowdfunding. Brother, the crowdfunding is a very good way to raise money. But then again, You might lose your money if you lend it to them. You might lose without protection. Thank you very much. As far as I understand, it's to do with credit unions, for example. I mean, I think they're a good idea because I think, as far as I understand it, especially on profit making. So, hopefully they won't have as high interest rates as, these private lending companies. So I think it's probably a lot better and a lot fairer and probably more, basically hopefully helps a more just society, that sort of thing. And I'm trying to think of anything else. Whether sort of crowdfunding, that's not the same thing as lending, is it? I mean, I suppose it's a way of raising money, but that's probably for particular issues and campaigns. So it's different from probably not-for-profit.
Thank you for listening to your Money Matters show, and you can wait to see me until next week.
Şurada tabanlı şu anda takım. Tabanlar bütün o suyu eğer.